Hello, my name is Myra Tanksley, and I am recording this on April the 25th, 2017. I am the single, proud mother of a 24-year-old son with autism. Me and my son, his name is Marquis, are victims of a very corrupt, unfit, greedy, unconstitutional system because of my advocacy for my son and my race and my son being high functioning. They have prevented my son from calling me since December the 10th, 2016. And even worse than that, I have not seen my son um, since July the 8th, 2015. So that's been almost 2 years. And the only reason why I seen him July the 8th was because I waited outside to see him coming out to an appointment that he had told me that he had. And I love my son just like other mothers and fathers love their sons and daughters, and I wanted to see him. And then the last time that he was allowed to visit with me was March the 15th, 2015. So I haven't really sat down and visit with my son in over 2 years. And that's because of the system that we're in. We're in a very corrupt, very unconstitutional, and sick system. And he has um, a lying, because she lies on me something terrible, and has. And I'm an evidence girl, because so I collect, you know, recordings and documents and pictures and all that. But probate court of Franklin County, Ohio, appointed this unfit lying lawyer because they're all the same. I mean, all these people scratch each other's back. They're all, you know, profiting off of these um, wards of the state and, you know, people that they get federal funds for. So, probate court of Franklin County, Ohio, and Judge Robert Montgomery, I don't even feel right even calling them judges and stuff or lawyers because, you know, they're not judges, they're not lawyers. I mean, the ethical sense of the word, these people are not that way. They're very corrupt, very evil, you know, and um, he went ahead and his court appointed an attorney because I can't even bring myself to say lawyer anymore unless I say lawyer. But her name is Erin Sanford. And like I said, she lies something terrible, but she's also unfit. I got her on tape saying that she couldn't handle mental health caseloads. I got probably at least two tapes showing that and proving that she lied on me. And like I said, all these people are corrupt. The courts, the agencies, the judges, the magistrates, the attorneys, the court investigators, the just anybody aligned with the whole system is corrupt. And when I sent a report, because um, all of this is on Facebook. Lots of my evidence is on Facebook, and I got 3 pages, and I'll tell you about the pages later on. Because I always like to give backgrounds before I actually let people hear what Marquis was telling me, because I have 3 Facebook pages, and it's just full of evidence. And this last one, the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, is in Marquis's own words, and it just depicts his suffering, him telling me, how he feels about uh, wanting to come home, how much he loves and misses me. He describes abuse and neglect by the staff, by the wherever he's at, the system, how they are abusing and neglecting him, exploiting him for federal funds. But anyway, getting back, because there's so much stuff, getting back to what I was going to say, I had actually sent a report because I filed a complaint with probate court of Franklin County, Ohio, since they appointed Sanford. And you can imagine that went nowhere. That was just swept under the rug. And, um, and that's why I said now I'll tell anybody, I done step back like the Lord done told me. You step back and let me handle this thing. I'm going to handle it. And, and they'll know that I'm in charge. I'll bring you back home. And he said, you might even see me spike some booties in this thing because God will not only give us the victory through himself, because Jesus has overcome the world, he will also sometimes show us how he punishes people that have been wrong to us, because you cannot outbox God. If it's God's will that Marquis comes home, then they're not going to be able to stop that. But sometimes God will punish evil people too in this life. And I seen him do it too in another attorney named David Belinky, who is deceased. And God let me see and let me find out through the paper and see his name in the obituaries. God made me get the newspaper that day to see that that man was deceased. And I knew God was going to punish him when he was talking to me on the phone, because there was a wrath, but it wasn't towards me and it wasn't coming from me, but I could feel. And actually, I realized it was the wrath of God because of his arrogance and his God. God doesn't like arrogance, but Belinky was so arrogant, and he was bragging about abusing people in court. And it was like, I'm all powerful attorney, I can abuse my power, file all these motions. And he did me wrong, but he had probably been doing a lot of people wrong, and he definitely did my son wrong, because he's the one that lied and filed a motion to take my guardianship away. But it wasn't just him; it was the whole system. Like, you got to stop this mother. Who does she think she is? Uh, being an advocate for her son, and plus she collects evidence. So, you know, they didn't want me to keep a guardianship over somebody that was being abused and neglected. And Marquis is not the only one. There's a whole lot of people that are, you know, just, they're just taken advantage of for money. And it protects them because they don't have to call me and tell me anything. Like right now, I haven't heard anything about my son, not from Sanford, not from nobody else. And I know God is in this thing, and I know God is in control. But in the natural mind, well, Marquis could be any place, and they don't have to tell me. He could have had a sickness or illness or to be debilitated. I'm RN, by the way. So that's why I said I haven't, because I'm not on any abuse and neglect registries, because if I was, I wouldn't be able to practice nursing. So I have never abused or neglected my son, exploited my son. So they have taken my guardianship away, not because I've done anything wrong to my son, but it's because I'm challenging the system, a very corrupt, unfit system that even God talks about how bad injustice is, a very unjust or unjust system. And that's the reason why. And plus, they don't want to call me and have to tell me, the staff wasn't taking care of your son, so he fell down the stairs and broke his neck and stuff. But I haven't heard anything about him. So to me, he's missing. But as a Christian, God is faithful. And if he wants Marquis to be back home with his mom, he's coming back home to live with me. He's going to be coming back home to live with mom if that's God's will for Marquis's life and my life. Because if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't be able to deal with this. And every day I have to ask, and God through Jesus, because Jesus is God in the flesh, has to give me his peace and his assurance that I got this thing taken care of. He said, because I got a will for your son's life, and these people need to line up with my will for your son's life and your life. If not, I'll just move them out of the way. And a lot of people forget that, especially when you're dealing with a Christian. God has a will for our lives. And I know it sounds like I'm preaching because I want to get back to, the audio tape and everything. But I'm a Christian, and so is Marquis. That's another thing. Because he's not going to church. He's not receiving anything or getting spiritually fed. But I tell my son every time I talk to him, we would pray. I said, God gonna bring you back home. I said, he can bring you back home at the end of this year, next year, but he gonna bring you back home. And that gives him hope. But I don't just tell him that for hope. I tell him that because I believe it 1,000,000,000% that God will bring Marquis back home. I don't believe God wants him to live his life in an unjust, corrupt, evil system that is, because his health went down. He's very unhappy. He's emotionally abused. He's been medically neglected and abused and physically. He has to go to a skin doctor or I guess it's a dermatologist, but some doctor is giving him light treatments every Tuesday and Thursday because they let his skin get so bad. It wasn't like that when he was at home. He's on powerful, dangerous psychotropic medication. They still got him on a maximum dose of thorazine. They put him on lithium. He done gained an unhealthy amount of weight. And I'm thinking that maybe because I have, diabetes running in the family, and I'm thinking he might even be diabetic. But then I have to remember God's got him. God is watching over him. He's with him, and God's will be done in his life and my life. That's in the book of Proverbs. Man can plan all the things they want. They can have all the plans they want, but it's God's will that will be done. But anyway, going way back to what I was going to mention, I had, besides, I filed a complaint against Sanford to probate court. It went nowhere. I was slandered, lied on, and the case was closed. Not surprised. But I also reported Sanford's misconduct and behavior to the Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council. And they are supposed to investigate and deal with attorneys for different misconduct. And one of them is that the attorney is not allowed to lie to a client or lie to a court of law. Well, Sanford, like I said, has at least told at least 2 or 3 lies on me to the court. It doesn't matter, whether she's in front of the bench, in front of one of those corrupt judges, or if she's writing to the court, or if she's telling a court investigator. It's still lying to the court. And like I said, I could prove it. I'm going to tell you about my YouTube channel. Then I'll tell you the title of the 3 pages I have on Facebook. And I have a YouTube channel under Myra Tanksley. And it's probably got about 50 videos and counting of various audio tapes or recordings. Because they're not really videos. I have one video on there, which is the last time I seen my son, July the 8th, 2015. That video's on there, and it's heartbreaking because he was begging me to stay with him and not to leave him, or at least go to the appointment with him, or could I come back? And then it shows how they try to manipulate him to go off on me. Oh, it's just awful. I mean, this is just the pure, that's that humor scum that God talks about in the Bible, throughout the Bible, I might add. That's why people can't tell me injustice don't exist, or prejudice, or racism don't exist. Even God says this stuff exists. And my Lord and Savior tells me it exists. That's enough for me. But even God says these people exist. And that's on there too. It's only videotape I actually have. Then I have audio tape of me actually seeing my son get punched in the chest by a state of Ohio employee. And these tapes are still in 2012. I got dozens and dozens of recordings that I have to post. Because this is from February the 18th, 2012. And it was on a micro cassette, so it's not that clear. It's kind of grainy, but I didn't start recording on a voice recorder and a smartphone till probably about February 2013. And so I got audio tapes of my son in his own words, because he is high function, he can speak for himself, starting from, like I said, I'm in 2012. They go all the way up to the last time I talked to my son, which was December the 10th, 2016. But anyway, I had actually written this disciplinary council where I filed a complaint, or what they call grievance. Went no place. Just went no place. They didn't even acknowledge. And I actually reported 2 things. How Sanford was doing my son. Because it's not good for him to, and he, because they have always tried to make our family unfunctional, dysfunctional, and try to put a wedge between me and my son. And he loves his mother. He adores me. And God knows how much I love my son. But they have always tried to make it dysfunctional because they couldn't say nothing else about me, even though they hate my guts. You know, they can't say I'm ain't uneducated and a drug addict. They can't really even say I abuse and neglecting. They ain't been able to prove it because it ain't true. So they say, oh, she escalates him and stuff. But then that's when the racism come in. I bet they don't tell them white parents that they escalate their sons and daughters when they're having meltdowns or when they're having meltdowns at home or because they say I escalate him when he's uh, uh, talks to me on the phone after he gets off the phone, before he gets on the phone, everything, you know. But that's racism. That's the black mother. I bet they don't tell the white parents under no circumstances do they ever that they ever um, escalate their sons and daughters with autism. I bet you they don't. But anyway, I reported two things. I reported that she was not only um, uh, uh, allowing other people to abuse and neglect Marquis, but she was also exploiting him for federal funds. She wasn't looking out for the best interests of the ward because she ignored federal order until I exposed it on Facebook and gave her a call. She won't talk to me, so I leave a message. Then all of a sudden, oh, because the U.S. Department of Education had wanted the Columbus City School District to give him, and that's one of the appointment he was going to, a counseling appointment initiated by the U.S. Department of Education when I last seen him on July the 8th, 2015. And then they also ordered compensatory education. And they said they believed that his civil rights were violated. I got all that on tape. Said, but the Columbus City School District told the U.S. Department of Education that the guardian would not answer back when they were trying to get the counseling rolling. Because, you know, the school district didn't care nothing about Marquis, but they had to go under agreement and they were ordered to do these things. Because, you know, you get to talking about federal funds, and I was on the interview about it at least 3 times with WCMH. And then I also was interviewed on Channel 6. WCMH is Channel 4. And I was interviewed on Channel 6 about the day that uh, Marquis was actually had ran out because he had home DD staff that didn't know how to deal with him. And that's another thing. And they don't like me. They resent me bringing this stuff up. I said, I'm not going to just turn my head when I see my son being abused and neglected and unqualified people, unfit people, abusive staff, you know, dealing with my son. But I also did an interview with them. And so when I reported this to the Ohio Disciplinary Council about how, you know, she has let other people abuse and neglect my son and won't let him see his own mother. I said, that's not even natural. Not for, you know, because he loves his mother. And I said, that's not even constitutional. That's a God given right for a family to be able to, you know, I guess be together and stuff. I said, now if I had abused him and neglect him and beat on him and all that kind of stuff, and by the way, he's 24 years old, that might be a different thing. I said, but for him not, I said, that's not even normal, natural for a son not to see his mother and a mother not to see his son, her son. And that's the reason why I said this thing gonna stay on Facebook. I said, because my son has been treated like an animal, worse than an animal, worse than an inmate. I said, at least they get visits. He can't even get a visit or a phone call from his own mother. They won't even. I said, it's just, it's unconstitutional, not natural. I said, but I'm a victim in this thing too as a mother. I said, that's dealing with my motherhood rights. And I said, I don't care if he's 24 or 144. That's my son. That's my child. I said, so not only are they doing this to Marquis, they're doing it to me. But I reported to this Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council what she was doing as far as exploiting Marquis for his SSI check, why he's living in poverty, living in a rundown neighborhood, in a rundown townhome. The neighborhood is so bad they had to put a gate around it, a locked black gate. But it's one of those real small, tiny townhomes. Because all the townhomes look like that, and that whole is, you know, connected to an alley, and all the townhomes in that neighborhood look like that. So the state of Ohio owns it because they fixed it up, and it's, I mean, it's real small, and like I said, the neighborhood is just a mess. It's just a total mess. So I told them about that she was a pissy pure excuse for a fraudian. And then I also told them about her lying to me. Well, when I got the letter back, I wasn't surprised that it was dropped because all these people know each other. And after I tell you this, I'll tell you why I said that. But when I got the letter back, of course, they said you have to go to probate court, which I had already did, and I also told them about Sanford's behavior, but they imported Sanford. You don't know who's all sleeping with who, or who's son-in-law to this, or the family, or anything. And what I didn't see in the letter was their acknowledgement of me telling them that this sorry, lying, dirty piece of crap attorney had lied on me. They didn't even acknowledge that. So that's how people are in denial. They sweep things under the rug or won't even acknowledge it. And so I called the woman, the so-called investigator for the disciplinary council. I forgot her name, Amy Stone or something like that. Left the mess, and I said, you people just you're all together. You're all corrupt. I'm not surprised. I said, but you didn't even acknowledge what I put in that report, and it was a 24-page report. And I said, I told you, or whoever would be investigating it, following up in it, that Sanford lied on me, and she did it more than once. And you have on your website, not her per se, but the website says that attorneys are not allowed to lie to a court of law. You didn't even acknowledge it. But that's how corrupt people do things. They won't acknowledge things. Or they'll just sweep it under the rug. They won't even deal with it. They'll act like it didn't exist. And that's what I told her. But I said, that's all right. I'm a Christian. I'm not fighting this thing alone. I'm not fighting all of this alone. I don't really even have to fight at all. Me and my son got Jesus right in the middle of this thing. And he'll take care of it in his own appointed way and time. But I said, this is just ridiculous. But I just realized and found out that the state of Ohio Attorney General, his name is Mike DeWine, he's got a son that's on the Ohio Supreme Court. So the Ohio Supreme Court ain't gonna do nothing against, um, you know, the state of Ohio. But all these people, like I said, you not only have a system stack up against you, but a lot of these people they network, they're friends, they might be part of the family. Somebody's son that married this dark girl, and that daughter-in-law might be a sister of this other corrupt judge over in this court and stuff. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And that's why I say what I say. I said these people to me are worse than any criminals on the street. These legalized criminals, because they got so many victims. And they're making paychecks off of all of this stuff. Big paychecks. But like I said, the Bible even says these people exist. When God talks about injustice, who you think he's talking about? He ain't talking about the average Joe out on the street. He's talking about people that work in the legal system. That's who he's talking about. He's talking about the Ohio Supreme Court and Disciplinary Council and Mike DeWine and court investigators and the so-called lawyer, Aaron Sanford. He's talking about the judges and magistrates cheating people out of their rights. And of course, I've read the Bible all the way through 3 times. And of course, my favorite interpretation is today's English version, Good News Bible. So that's the interpretation that I like to use. But and I have that on my Facebook pages because of my cover photo of Marquis and stuff. And it says in Amos 5, verse 7, verse 10, you are doomed, you who twist justice and cheat people out of their rights. You people hate anyone who challenges injustice and speaks the whole truth in court. And that's not all. The Bible, both the Old and New Testament, is full of God's anger towards injustice. He acknowledges it, and he also tells us what he's going to do about it. But like I said, they won't even acknowledge it. Same way with people can't tell me racism doesn't exist or prejudice. The book of James talks about it, and then First John really gets right down to it. I mean, the Good Samaritan is about, you know, racial or biases and stuff. I mean, Jesus acknowledged it. You told a parable about it, but I like First John, not the Gospel of John, First John, where it says, "How can you say for the all these corrupt, sick, prejudiced people that go to church every Sunday and their prejudice is still, very biased?" The verse in First John says, "How can you say you love God who you have not seen, and hate your brother who you have seen?" Now that's the way God feels about it. So if God says if He acknowledges it in His Word, you can better believe it exists. Period. No debate. So, like I said, I had that Amos 5, 7, and then 10 on the cover photos. And let me give you the 3 Facebook pages. The first one is the abuse and neglect of Marquis Tanksley by the government. Second one is justice for autistic Marquis Tanksley. And the third one is the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, his suffering, abuse, and neglect. And like I said, in his own words, um, from what he has told me, you know, how, and it's suffering, it's emotional, it's suffering, it's physical suffering, it's medical suffering. And, not only have I said that they have abused and neglected my son and are exploiting him for federal funds, they have made him suffer. And that's the reason why I put that in there. The audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, the last page that I gave you, and I put in his suffering, abuse, and neglect. I said, because he's been suffering. And then me too with him. God understands that. I mean, when Jesus was on the cross, Jesus seen his mother crying, and he comforted her. He seen her crying at the cross. So God understands a mother's love, a father's love. He understands that. But I had to go in there and see my son in ways that no parent that loves their child or son or daughter, I don't care if there's an adult or if they're minors, ain't no parent will want to see their son or daughter the way I see my son. So I've suffered with him. But I always have had to try to, keep cool, to calm him down. Because when you go in there and your son's been traumatized, and the ways I've seen him, and these tapes will bring it out because I have been recording all this time. And like I said, I'm only in February 2012, so I got many, many more audio tapes that go up through the years. 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. That goes up through the years. And I started to kind of reverse and say, well, I'm going to start 2016 going back. I said, no, I'm going to just keep bringing it up through the years. But the other 2 pages, when people go visit it, I think they should start at the beginning of the page, not the most recent post, but the creation of the page. Right when I first created, then that's the post you should start from. And he's been able to tell me things, which is another reason why they don't want him to talk to me anymore, because he's been suffering, wanting to get back home because he loves me, wanting to get back to his life. He's got hobbies he likes. He's got, you know, you just name it. He likes music, he likes sports, he likes to watch sports, he likes to play sports. He loves me, he misses me. He's got a favorite television station that he likes to watch, and he's got all kind of stuff here that that he misses, and it's just ridiculous. But they got him on Thorazine, and he should have been off of Thorazine a long time ago. The maximum dose. They don't even prescribe Thorazine, even for a true mentally ill people. And autism is not a mental illness; it's a neurological disease or disorder. And they, like I said, they don't even prescribe it for schizophrenia or true mental illness. They got him on that. They got him on lithium, but he has suffered. And I've suffered in a way with him. And like I told Sanford, and I said, that attorney, she's just nothing but a witch. To me, she reminds me of a witch. And it just everything about her. And I said, because when what you do to my son, because she don't like it being on Facebook, but she won't talk to me because she's a coward. So I always get a voicemail, which is always full. And I've heard some things about Sanford. There's a girl on Facebook said they're trying to remove Sanford from a case because as a guardian ad litem because she's allowing a child to go over to an abusive uh, uh, family. And then I read another report about Sanford, and this was written by a male that signed his name anonymous and said Sanford and Robert Montgomery and John Mashberg, which is the law office that Sanford is out of, said they were abusing this black resident, a black gentleman in a nursing home, and said they were defrauding him, taking his money, and allowing him to be abused. And said she would never get back with the family. His family was writing her and calling her and everything else. Said, but they just used that money, that man for his money, because when you're a guardian, you get that ward's money. And just like she's getting Marquis's SSI money. And but he lives in poverty. And being abused, he hardly has any food because he would tell me, and all of that stuff is going to be on these tapes. That's why I said, I'm in February 2012, and I'm going through every one of them. They're going date by date. I'm keeping them in numerical order, and that's how I'm posting them. And he would tell me, that he was hungry or he hadn't ate except for uh, one meal. Then a couple times he was telling me he wasn't hungry, but at home he ate 3 meals a day. But he would have staff listening to him, so my son was very intimidated when he knew staff was listening to him because they probably got on him. Don't tell your mother this, don't tell your mother that. Tell your mother you ain't hungry and stuff. But my son eat 3 meals at home, so how come he eat 3 meals at home, and with these people he can only eat 1 meal? So I asked him one day, I said, "Are you going to eat 3 meals when you get back home?" He said, "Yeah." But I already had figured it out, because like I said, they're not dealing with somebody that ain't got no sense or anything like that. I said, the environment has changed. He's around abusive staff that probably don't want to feed him nothing. But, he knew that he better not tell on him to mom too much. And it was the same way when he was at CDC. But this audio tape actually is, like I said, from February 18th or 19th, 2012. And see, I was taping on microcassette, so sometimes I would miss the date or two. Sometimes I might be put the wrong date on there, but usually be one day early or one day late. But on this tape I had, it looked like February the 18th, 2012 on that particular tape. But in it, he just tells me, I miss you. I don't like missing you. I can't stand it, to miss my mom. And, and to me, that's emotional suffering. Uh, that, can you imagine how he feels now? He hasn't been able to see me. He hasn't been able to, they have not allowed him to talk to me. And he looked forward to talking to his mom. And I don't care what nobody says, and I believe God is on my side, and I believe God sees it that way. That's unconstitutional. That's not right. And I put a post out there recent on Facebook, and even people that don't even know me, white, black, young, old, and they would say, now that's not right. But, and they send up their prayers because I always let people know, I always mention God. I don't forget about God. I said, because I'm a Christian. God is in every part of my life. I said, he'll take care of this just like he takes care of every other need that I have. And I've seen God do some miracles in my life, with my career, uh, from one job where he'll open this door and close this door, housing, in any kind of way, financially. spiritually. And he told me, you leave this thing alone. Don't you fight with that evilness. Let me handle it. And he said, you know by now, he said, just because it ain't happened, don't mean it is not going to happen. I got my own way when I do things. I got my own date and time when I do it. Because my will be done. If I want you to see your son again and spend time with your son and do the things a mother and a child does or a family and stuff, it will be done. He said, but you know, I got my own way of doing it and my own time. He said, you ain't got to fight with them evil people. And God hasn't told me I've been a bad mother. He said, you've been a wonderful mother. He said, but you seek my peace. He said, because I'll give you peace that pass all understanding. He said, but there's things that only I can do. That's a very big corrupt system. The courts are corrupt. The people that work in it are corrupt. That, you know, and just attorneys, judges, magistrates, people that all need to be ethical are not that way. And I'm very angry with injustice. And that's what the Lord told me. He said, you don't have to worry about sending any more reports or letters. Um, you did it to probate court. You did it to Ohio Supreme Court. They're all corrupt. They're not going to do anything. And their people are all friends. They might be part of the family or married into the family and stuff. He said, let it alone. He said, but I got this. And God is faithful. He's faithful. But I don't believe that that's Marquis's life. To be in that system, being abused, neglected, exploited for federal funds, suffering. I know God has a date that he's going to end it. And that's another thing, you know. God has an appointed time for everything. And you wonder why, you know, you got people like Putin or whatever his name is in office, and you got Trump and all this kind of stuff. That guy in North Korea, they're all fussing and fighting, talking big bad. That nothing gonna happen till the appointed date that God has it to happen. But he will allow all of that stuff to be a pathway. You know, he's letting all that stuff happen, stuff right now happen to be a pathway to his prophecies that Jesus talked about in the Mount Olivet discourse. Is in every gospel except for John. When Jesus was on the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came and said, when will this be? And Jesus just kind of gave a chronological order, not dates and years, but, you know, what will happen. And all of this stuff that you see, you know, going on and everything is just God setting up the players, putting them in, you know, everybody's in the seat that they need to be in for this stuff to come true. So it's going to be the way Jesus says it's going to be. So with that, let me get to this audio tape. It's real short, only lasts 7 seconds. But this one is just Marquis telling me how much he doesn't like missing me. Because like I said, you know, another evil thing. And like I said, now this goes against God. Because God actually created the family. And he designed the family between a man and a woman and their children or offspring. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way, and it might be just one parent and that child or offspring. But still, it was something that God designed. Because when he made Adam and Eve and put them together, it could be that God had never really wanted Eve to have children. It could be he just wanted the man and the woman together. They never had to have an offspring, but God made it so that when the man and woman come together, that they would be able to procreate and have offspring. So God designed marriage, and he designed a family that a man and woman would be able to create an offspring that they're supposed to raise and love and see and be around and nurture and to enjoy each other's companionship and stuff. Because I miss my son terribly. But I got all his stuff here waiting for him because I believe God's going to bring him back home. And I believe that 1,000,000,000%. But I'm saying that that's not even, forget about the man-made laws. That's not even right in God's laws. Like, you know, the Bible was, has depicted how God wanted man and woman to be together, and he told them to be fruitful and multiply. So this is against God's design, unless that parent's been abusive, beating on a child or neglecting them, or they're not able, you know. So I don't have to worry about whether they approve of me or anybody else approve of me. God approves of me, but God will take this thing and turn it into a testimony. Because Marquis got anointing on his life, and so do I. But I know my son does. And when the right time, the appointed time that God has for him to come home, he will move them people out of the way. And I've seen him, and I want to say punish, because God will punish, but he took David Belinkie off this planet and made sure I found out about it. Because he made me go get the newspaper, God himself. And that's something I never do. And I got that newspaper that day, made me open it up to the obituary, see that man's name. And God said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. So, with that, that's all that's on this audio tape. It's, like I said, not that clear. It was recorded on a micro cassette. This is just February 2012 right now, as far as where I'm at in the tapes. I got dozens and dozens more throughout the years where you'll hear things clearer. And it'll show my son being abused and neglected throughout all this time, being emotionally abused, physically abused, um, neglected, physically, mentally, his autistic needs not being met, his suffering, just in his own words, things that he's telling me. You could also go to my pages and see some of the things I have walked into. But some of these audio tapes are things that I have walked into. But because they hate me so much, and because I'm a black mother, I've been accused of escalating my son, which just shows how I know they don't say that to these white parents. So when their kids are at home and they're having meltdowns and having physical aggression and verbal aggression and property destruction and hitting themselves so that they had to wear helmets, are you telling the white fathers and the white mothers, oh, you escalate your son? I don't think so. So why did they have to tell me that? So that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Same circumstances, you know, and uh, both families got, someone with autism that had meltdowns or aggression or something like that. But you're not going to tell them white parents that, but you're going to tell me that. They even blame me for Marquis's aggression when I'm not even there. But not only does it show how, evil and sick and racist they are, it also shows that they're incompetent. But make sure you look at the videotape. It's in the YouTube channel, how some nasty, overweight lady tried to get my son to go off on me. Took him across the street and told him to ask me, what you come here for? What you come here for? Marquis had never said nothing like that to me before when I went to visit him. Never, ever. And he didn't really even say it initially. Because my son seen me sitting in a car in the parking lot waiting for him to come out. And the first thing he said when he spotted me, he said, there goes my mom. There's my mom. And he said it happily and cheerfully too. He was very cheerful and he was very happy when he said it. But, their best bet is to hope that I'm going to just give up and walk away. I said, these people got to be out of their minds if they think I'm going to just walk away and forget all about my son and leave him in the system. I said, no, I love my son. I miss him terribly, but I got God on my side. I know somebody that can beat them down and get rid of the whole situation and punish them. And that's God himself. That's who I got on my side, and that's who's also in this thing. And I'm going to look forward to seeing Marquis come back home and whatever else God does and stuff. Because like I said, sometimes God will let you see your enemies be destroyed by him, not by me, by him. Because he let me know that he dealt with David Blinken. He said, this is the reason why I made you get this paper. And vengeance is mine, I will repay. And yeah, what you were feeling, because when he was talking to me, David Blinken, I knew that God was going to punish him. And I never felt anything like that before. It was a very angry, but it wasn't coming to me. It wasn't towards me. And it wasn't coming from me. And then I realized it was the wrath of God. Because this man was just bragging about himself. Then he started bragging about his wife. And I said, bad enough if you're abusing people, abusing your power. But to brag about it, and he just thought he was all powerful and unstoppable. He thought he was a phenomenon. I'm going like, huh? Nobody's a phenomenon except for God, and that's even too weak a word for God. Nobody. But I am so glad that God is in this thing. That's the only thing that gives me my hope. Because I'm not able to fight. I said, all of them is corrupt. Every last daggone one of them. That's why I told that woman on the phone and left it in her voicemail that works for the disciplinary council. Probably some old unfit, evil, corrupt attorney that, they get their jobs because, if you do the unpopular thing and do the ethical thing and say, no, wait a minute, this is wrong, they'll throw you out of there. That's why I told that court investigator. I said, you're just a coward. You're going to go along to get along. You're not going to say, oh, they're lying on this woman, this boy, this man, this young man, this autistic resident, or Marquis is wherever, how you want to describe him or me, you're doing them wrong. He ain't going to say that. If he did, he wouldn't have a job. You got to go along to get along. That's politicking, but you also see in other fields too. It's not just in the illegal system. That's what I call them, the illegal system. You also see in other things, the politicking. Did you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But God really talks about injustice in the Bible. And that's what he's talking about. And like I said, I don't have no respect for them. Especially attorneys, unless they're a civil rights attorney. I said, they're so corrupt. I said, of all the professions, here you are supposed to be in the so-called legal system, and you lying on people and taking their rights away. You're not following the law. You're corrupt. You're doing fraud. You're taking bribes. You're making decisions on people that are really affecting and devastating their lives. You taking innocent people and declaring them guilty, and it's just a shame. No wonder God is so angry with people that practice injustice. But the only thing that I have to say to them, other than God judging them and sending them straight to hell if they don't repent on Judgment Day, watch what you do with Christian people in this life. Because God will punish you in this life. Because he will show us that, and he likes to show his power. God likes to show his power. And he'll show us that he's got our back. He'll show us that he's done straightened it out. And sometimes he'll show us what he'll do with you all you evil people that mess with Christian people. He'll let us see him defeat you, destroy you, and do whatever he needs to do with you. So watch out in this life when you're dealing with Christian people. So with that, let's go to this audio tape. Again, February the 18th or 19th, 2012. It was actually when I was visiting Marquis, and we were talking and stuff. But again, he lets me know, he misses me so much. And I just think about it, and my heart just drops. And don't think that I am like a rock of Gibraltar and stuff. My anchor and pillar is Jesus. That's the only reason why I've been able to have hope and stuff, because I know the Lord lives, and I know he in this thing. I've seen him do too much. And he said, well, I'm taking care of the rest of your life. I'm opening doors and closing doors. I ain't going to leave Marquis out. That's part of your life too. He said, I'm in this thing too. And he said, it's going to be done the way I want it to be done. He said, but remember, I work in my own way, my own time. While you're trying to figure it out, he's already got it worked out. And he said, when that day comes that he's supposed to be coming back home, you're going to be over there wherever they got him. You're going to be picking him up and bringing him back home. I'm in control. He said, so I don't want you to be anxious about it. He said, you done all you could do. You can't do no more. He said, but there's situations and circumstances on this planet in this life that we as Christians have to notice and remember that only God can take care of. He can put down nations, government systems, people, agencies, and this is the type of circumstance and situation that only God, I can't do it. And he'll get all praise, honor, and glory. Only God can do it. And sometimes that's the way God likes it. So that when the situation taken care of, ain't nobody can say, I can't say, oh, they did it, or this lawyer did it, or this probate court did it, or what. God did it. That's the only person that will get the credit. I can't even say I did it. So with this, here's Marquis telling me that uh, he's tired of missing me, man. Because he always say, man, I'm tired of missing you, man. And I can't stand that. And that'll be it. But that'll show for the people that think that my son ain't never loved his mom. Because they try to act like we're a dysfunctional family. Like I upset my son. I escalate him, all that. God, that's a sick people. Sick people. And that's John Kasich. That's Mike DeWine. That's Ohio Supreme Court. The Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council. That's Aaron Sanford. That's Robert Montgomery. That's Keith Simone's. That's Karina, whatever her name is, Consumer Support Services, Disability Rights. Ohio won't help Marquis, even though he's been abused and stuff. They went after the Columbus City School District because back then it had a black superintendent, but they didn't go after Columbus Developmental Center because it was a state of Ohio state agency. So they didn't. So they pick and choose who they'll go after. But like I said, you got Kasich, you got DeWine, you got Robert Montgomery, Aaron Sanford, you got Consumer Support Services, Disability Rights Ohio, Karina, whatever her name is, old Rosie, you got Keith Simone's, that was the last probate court investigator, Amy Stone, all of them corrupt. They're all that scum that God talks about in the Bible when he talks about you people who cheat people out of their rights and stuff. And he'll send every one of them to hell, because you cannot love God and who you have not seen and treat people who you have seen like that. And the sad thing is, probably some of them people go to church every Sunday. But they rather love the praise of man than God. And like I said, everybody gonna go along, get along. You ain't gonna, step out. Everybody got their marching orders, and you're not gonna do the unpopular thing and say, "Hey, no, you're doing this woman and her son wrong." None of them gonna do that. It's all about keeping their job. So with that, and corruption. So with that, here we go with Marquis. So we'll play it one more time. So there you have it. And he was just saying, I'm tired of missing you, man. I'm tired of missing you. I can't stand that. And like I said, God created the family. He created the family bond. Unless, something extraordinary, some extraordinary circumstances, you're usually going to have that parent bonding with that child bonding with that parent, and them wanting to be together. And, and God's not happy. He told me. But he said, I'm here all in this thing. He said, I already got it worked out. I already know when I'm going to bring you back home. And when things fall in place, just like puzzles, pieces of a puzzle, when this happens, I'm going to open the doors, close the doors I need to open. Close, open the doors I need to open, make the connections in this situation. Because I know all things and I can do all things. But you will be having your son to come back home. That's the reason why the Bible tells us we're not to be anxious about anything. But when we pray, we can pray with thanksgiving. We can make our requests known to God, and God will give you desires of your heart. But, when it comes to things like that, I think Jesus said it best, because that's some of the things that Paul was inspired to write. But Jesus said, in this world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. I have defeated the world. You ain't got to worry about nothing in this world. I don't care if it's government, another country, people, whatever. I have overcome every one of them. I can defeat every one of them. And Jesus letting us know, if you got me in your life, if you're abiding in me, you're a Christian, and you abide in my words, and you done gave your life to me, you ain't got to fight nothing. Hand it over to me and I'll deal with it. Trust me enough just to step back and know that it's coming. The day that Marquis comes back home is coming. And that's why Jesus said, be of good cheer. Don't fret about it. Don't get anxious about it. And I said, Lord, I miss him so much. He said, I know that's when you ask for my peace. I'll give you peace that passes all understanding. He said, because I got this thing. You don't know exactly when he's coming back home, but you know that I got it. And see, they don't like me praying with Marquis. And I tell them, I said, no. I said, because Jesus can bring you back home this year, next year, 3 months from now. I said, he's already got the date. And, I was spiritually feeding him with prayer, but I was spiritually feeding myself. But the devil don't like that. And God's angry about that. So, once again, don't forget to go to my YouTube channel. I have the videotape on a couple of the other pages too, the justice page and the abuse and neglect page. I have it on audio tape page too. But just make sure if you don't see it on there, you can go to my YouTube channel and see it. If you go to the other 2 pages, start from the beginning. I think you should start from the beginning on the audio tape page too, not the most recent post. And because the abuse and neglect page got all kind of pictures and documents on it. So does the justice page. It's got documents on it. So don't forget to go to those pages if you want to get any more information. And hear the audio tapes that I'm posting. I'm not posting them every day or every night. I'm giving people a chance to listen to them. But, I will continue posting all of them. Just every one of them that I have to show and, and depict what Marquis has been going through and continues to go through. And he has suffered a lot. These people have really made him suffer. And I'm looking forward to seeing God bring justice in his life and my life, bring him back home. He has to clean up all his health problems, and just everything. Jesus will have to clean everything up. And for that, I'm grateful, and I give him all praise, honor, and glory. And I thank Jesus for saving me and Marquis. Our sins are washed away. By his stripes we're healed, and we have eternal salvation and with him. And even in this life, Jesus is going to really take care of the mess and make it right. So thank you for listening. Have a good one, and Jesus is Lord. I love you, Marquis. Hang on in there, sweetie.